And trading the foreign exchange on margin carries a high level of risk and may not be suitable for all investors. The high degree of leverage can work against you as well as for you. Before deciding to invest in foreign exchange, you should carefully consider your investment objective, level of experience, and risk appetite. The possibility exists that you could sustain a loss of some or all of your initial investment, and therefore you should not invest money that you cannot afford to lose. You should be aware of all the risks associated with the foreign exchange trading and seek advice from an independent financial advisor if you have any doubts. Today is Thursday, September 24th, and this is the session that we're going to be doing from about 8 o'clock to around 9 o'clock. We'll try and keep things as basic but as we can, and then we'll take a little break if time allows and if the market allows, and then we'll resume on until about 9:50 this morning. This is a live trading room. It is for educational purposes only, and no financial advice or recommendations will be provided. Any trade taken during this live session is not a recommendation or a suggestion that you should also do the same. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Do not trade money that you cannot afford to lose. And before trading live, always operate with a written trade plan that identifies rules for entries, exits, targets, and risk management. Let's go to the charts. And the last alert we had was a US CAD. Let's go and put that one on. That was at 6:45 this morning. That was about an hour and 15 minutes ago. And it was an ascending wedge with a US CAD. Now the way I drew this one is that we had a channel. It was ascending, and you can see a lot of times what I like to do is I try and draw the channel. As you can see, this is going from low to high, moving on up, and it's been bouncing pretty much ranging between these purple lines. This is the channel that it's been trading in. We got the alert at 6:45, and we had a ascending wedge. Now the ascending wedge on this, basically you almost have to go all the way back to this pivot here to catch where the alert was, which is the candle right before the alert. So that'd be the low, this would be the pivot high. Now we have a higher low, we have a lower high, hence it's forming our little wedge. We also see that this, after the alert, this was the alert candle where this yellow line is. When that closed, it closed right on this bottom pivot, bottom trend line. So right now, the question is it going to come up and break through the top of the wedge and retest this one? Or is it going to break down to the bottom and go further lower? Right now, I'm looking at, with the strength of the dollar being the first currency of the pair, the dollar is strong on the CAD on the 15-minute chart. Not by a lot. They're both pretty much right in the middle, which means it's probably pretty much going sideways. So we did have a little bit of a trend down. We had a high, a low, lower high, lower low. So it is trending inside this channel. It's trending. You have about three-wave trend. Now, what I'm looking at, the possibility is that it's going to come up and retest the B or the upper part of the channel. So I'm going to put my target. If it breaks to the upside, I'm going to be looking at my target being right around the B area. And this would be a target. And if it breaks the bottom of, breaks the C, you can see where it broke where we had the alert. It broke the C, but only broke enough just to tag this trend line. So right now I'm looking at more of the possibility of this thing breaking to the upside. We're on the 15-minute chart. You see the RSIs are coming out of the 3 period is coming out of the 40-60 range. They're both pointing up. We have strength on the dollar, which is the by 3 right now. So if this thing comes up, we'd be looking, I'd like to see a close in this range right here, somewhere in I'd like to see a close somewhere in this range here with a close. I want to see a close above this red candle and preferably see a wick, at least get a wick coming up above where the D is. So this is my range I'm be looking at to take it long. And that would be enter on the close. That's range right there. Let's look at our lower time frame charts. We'll see if we can
Here, Al,
fine tune this.
if I can interject.
Sure, go ahead.
All right, so it's gonna come up a little bit. Now, I really see this actually being like a turnaround point where it's gonna it's gonna come down. So this is just my what I see here is where you know how it broke the channel that we drew. You had drawn the channel there.
Right. Well, we have the
Oh,
upper
that
channel.
one. Oh yeah, no,
Well,
I
this
did.
is this is the upper part of the where the channel was. And yeah, we this is okay. Let me just back up here just a little bit so you can just for
Yeah, so I
clarification.
can see that because um, I'm looking for a bounce at the top of this
Yeah,
structure.
here's the channel, but also here's where the wedge was. We had the
Right,
BD. So if it breaks this, now the question is, will it break this and come back down? Because this is a we don't have the third hit. Here's our anchor. Here's our
right.
hit. This would be the third hit on the trend line. If this holds, it's probably going to come back down and retest.
Yeah.
Is that right? Is that what you agree with that?
Yes. Yeah, and that's what I'm kind of looking at, and I'm kind of anticipating that a little bit more because we have a move down, and it actually broke the low before it, so it's not doing lower highs. It seems to be doing sorry, it doesn't seem to be doing higher highs and higher lows. It's just doing lower highs and lower lows from that.
Right. It's actually starting to trend a little bit to the downside.
Right. So that's just where I see it.
Yeah.
I do see it coming up a bit more, but I do anticipate that we're going to get a pretty strong, at least impulsive move to the downside, some way, shape, or form. And that's where I see myself liking that trade just a little bit more.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Basically, when you see all of our RSIs are up here at the top, you don't want to be taking this long with the RSIs at the top. You really kind of wait for it to come up, pull back, and then take it long. It did seem to get somewhat of a rejection right here. It's not totally confirmed. It came up within, there's 40 to, it came up within a pip of this trend line and it rejected it.
So we're still a bit early.
We're still a bit early. And right now, still trading inside the wedge.
Yeah,
And actually, right now, we're actually having some action between here and here. If we look at the possibility of maybe an early entry in between, there's 18 pips to the other side of the area,
that's playable.
which is playable. This was as let's see, as we had well, here's where the C was right here at the bottom. This one, actually, well, here's right here is where we had the wedge. This is where the alert was, came down, broke this part of the wedge, made a new low right here, which supported this trend line. And so now I'm looking primarily between the trend lines and because actually right now we can probably, the fact that we had this thing came down didn't really give us a trade in here.
No.
Now it may have gotten you suckered in here, but this is
Yeah,
more like a trap. This is really more like a trap in
that's a
here.
trap. That's too tight.
Yeah, and so I'm going to bring this on down to continue the wedge part, because now we have a nice, so this is validating the trend line, validating the wedge, and now we're just playing in between, trying to wait for a breakout or an area to either take it short here or take it long down here, or if it breaks, to go to the upside, up to the upper part of the wedge on that. And right now we just don't know, and I'm not going to take anything right now in this scenario. If I see anything at all, I would wait for all these moving averages to consolidate, just like it did here, to break to the downside. And then there's probably enough, if we can get it closed below the 62, there might be enough room from, say, like from this blue candle, close below that to the trend line. There we can get our 10 pips. We have room for our 7 pips to retest this bottom trend line. That would be an early entry, but it would also be a possibility to take it short if we get that. Right now, it's still trending on up. It's retesting this. It's testing this area right up in here. So this came out at 6:45 in the morning. We did get an early break. I'm not sure. I don't think this was only but a couple pips. I don't think from that blue line to here. So you would have had a hard time even getting your 5 pips out of this with your spread until it came down to your trend line. These are significant areas, though. This thing was drawn off of a 15-minute chart from. If I look at my 15-minute, my higher time, again, this is trying to find the area on a higher time frame. And at 15 minutes, if you can find it on 15 minutes, great. If not, you just have to go to a higher time frame till you do. But this is an area where you can see where it's trending on up. You just find out where the hits, where the extremes of this range are. And that's where we put this, started down here, got a hit. This is a hit, there's about 1 or 2 pips there. That was good violet. That was a good hit on that one. Didn't close below, came back, but was rejected. And now here came that, and this is where this was the anchor. So this is the line that was generated from this point to this point. And so this is a solid trend line here. And you can see it came right down right to the line and then rejected it. If this gets rejected, then we're looking coming down here for the next target. And then after this area, we're looking at coming out all the way down to this demand zone right in here. And to the upside, we're looking at this target here. And if you go to the left, then we're going to have to come over a little higher time frame to see where it is. Here's where the B is. We're going to follow this blue line here. That's at the 3422 level. Bring it down and see where the 3422. Still don't see anything. This is going to go back a long way. $34.22. Let's see the daily chart. See if there's anything on daily chart. Here we go. And you have to go all the way to a daily chart in order to find this all the way back to July. So we're hitting near and these are all big wicks in here. So this is the last. This candle right here. This is the last close above where our price is, and then from here it's all wicks up and down. These are all sellers up in this area. So we have to keep that in mind, that this is going to be a major area to get out of. And so I'm going to draw a supply zone up to the top of this next wick. And go back to our 15-minute chart. And you can see we're coming right up into this strong supply zone. If we get the break of here, this would be the area that we'd be looking at. And these are all sellers up in here. So you have to keep that in mind. And we're still getting the rejection. If we get this, right now we have the highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. If we can get the break of this little line in here where these moving averages on the 15-minute start to consolidate, we may have something. But right now it's just going sideways. Right now it's in a very tight range, and I really want to stay out of that for right now. We do have an announcement at 10 o'clock, which you can put that on the chart.
This is interesting, Al.
It's a red folder. Yes, Matt.
See how I've got a wedge there on USD CAD, but you'll see what I just shared something in the chat. But it's bouncing off the bottom of one of the wedges that I drew. I just drew a little bit bigger of a wedge. I shared it in the chat there.
Okay.
And
let's see if I can see it here. Here we go.
So that's the pitchfork. That's the overall direction that I saw.
In downward direction.
Yeah, and then I had
top tine of the fork.
Right. So it could come up there. It could bounce there. That would be a really nice trade. Right now it's bouncing off the bottom of that second little wedge that I drew. So we're just about to see what's going to happen. Now this could be interesting, Al. This could be pretty good. If we can get the right entry, right? If we can get tight enough to one of the sides, we could maybe make some pretty good money on this one.
Or are you looking at, so would it be valid to say that, in your opinion, that if we get a close below this series of blue candles to the downside to retest this?
Yeah, we could go short if it breaks. If it breaks, let's see.
Let's go to 1 minute chart.
Yeah, let me see here.
This is
See
a
what it's
strong
doing?
move up, came up,
Yeah,
rejected it.
yeah.
We're getting moving averages crossing over. We have the green crossing the yellow, so that's good. This is getting tight and consolidating. And I would say if we can get the close below this series of candles, then we have room to the downside. And if we got filled right in off of this lower candle, you still have 7 pips to the bottom of your trend line, even if you got filled at the bottom of this blue candle right here. And right now, if I get a close below this moving average, I'll be looking at taking this thing short.
I'm actually going to try something here. Hold on. I'm going to look for a pass and check on that line, and then maybe swing the bat right there.
I want to see a close below that moving average, that 62 moving average. That's the white moving average line.
If I was using the right currency pair, that would help. Lucky I caught that before we submitted.
And this is the US CAD.
Yeah, US CAD. So I'm in there short. We're going to see what's going on.
Still looking for that candle just close. Yep, just closed. And I'm going to take a sell on this. And we're going to take a sell on this. Just going to do a market entry. Put our stops in.
Right now it's bouncing off one of my trend lines.
And we're going to take profit. We're going to look at, we'll go for a 7 pip profit.
Yeah,
Go
we'll
for
lock it
a
in.
7 pip stop.
So I'm taking a little bit of heat on that one right now because of the bounce on one of my other trend lines. I kind of tried to draw the channel here, so this is bouncing off that channel that I drew. So
and I would say with this, I don't expect it to get up here, but if it gets up here, I'm going to take a stop. That would be 8 pip stop.
oh yeah, no, I'm not letting it come that high.
Right, and I'd be really looking at thinking about getting out if it breaks the top of this red candle here. So
yeah.
This is going to be my visual stop. This is my oh crap stop. If it comes up there, I'm just out of it.
Yeah, and I'll take the loss, and then I'll find a better entry somewhere, or we'll take another pair because I don't want to. I don't need to take that kind of a stop loss because it's not going where we think it's going to go.
Right. If this thing turns around and comes back up, it's not doing what we were expecting it to do. So we got early entry on this, and we'll see what happens here. I said right now our target is going to be coming down here to retest this trend line. We had a nice strong bounce off of that before. And if it can come down and break, this thing could be a really nice trade for the day. This is an early entry from the wedge, but this is why we draw bigger wedges sometimes, so we can find out as we say that prices are either trend up, they trend down, or they trend sideways. Well, right now it's trending sideways inside a relatively large range, and we're just trying to find out where it peaks up to the box, so to speak, the box that we're trading in. And that's usually if you just flatten out where the highs and lows are, that's the box and it just keeps getting tighter, and the box gets tighter and tighter and tighter. And what we're trying to do is just trying to find those early entries to where we can catch the move down to here, or the move from up here. Now this was a nice little entry up here. We had a nice little peak up here on the RSI. came up. This is a strong support area, wasn't able to hold it. And now we're going to see if it can come down to this level. And we'll see.
All right, so we're taking a little bit of heat. It came back up. It tagged the bottom of the wedge, or my wedge anyway. Let's see if it rejects the bottom of the wedge.
Take some of this stuff off of here.
Yeah. Let's see.
You can see the U.S. and the CAD are right now, they're fighting for last place. The dollar's getting a little bit stronger on this move right now.
All right, it's coming up. Let's see. Is the entry no good? Excuse me.
Actually, I thought I had my stop up here. That's where my stop was. It never took it. There it goes.
Let's see.
And if it comes up and takes my stop and it rejects up here, I can take another shot at it. But at least that way, what you're doing is in case it just goes and skyrockets on up, at least you're still protected.
Yeah.
And the other thing you could do is you could just say, I'm just going to put it on the other side of the wedge. That would be valid too. It's a little bit more. It's another couple pips. Actually, I kind of like that spot a little bit better. I'm still looking at this area.
So let's see here. If it's going to turn around, it's going to turn around right here.
Yeah, this little RSI is coming up to the 89 level. And
that's where that
come up. It may retest this area right up in here.
It has to stay lower than that. If it goes up higher than that, there's no deal here. I'll take the loss on that.
Right now, here's our little. This is our. Remember, it came up, found some sellers up in this area. See if there's any more sellers to be had to run it back down again. It was a pretty strong rejection of this trend line.
Let's see.
The safest place to keep your stop is on the other side of the wedge.
Always.
The problem with that is it's always a little bit more. It takes a little bit more risk, so you have to make that calculation. If you're willing to take that risk, you either take a smaller position to get the bigger risk size, and each trade is a little bit different. Each wedge is a little bit different size, and sometimes you can do it, and sometimes you just need to give it a bigger stop, or you just say, I'm going to take my hit early, and if it goes, and I'll take another shot at it, maybe dollar cost average your positions.
Yeah. So let's see here. See if it's going to hook. Needs to stay lower than that red candle. Let's find out.
There's a hook.
2 pips above where I thought it was going to be, but yeah, it's the hook.
Well, the dollar is showing some strength in this move. We're also getting the RSI on the 15-minute coming up to the 89.
So I've got another trend line going there, Al. Started a trend line from the top of that move down to, so I started one at 555, and then I went to 805 or whatever, and then I've got it here just waiting for it.
When you get these strong moves up to an area and you get a rejection, usually, like this was a fairly strong move up, fairly strong rejection, and it came back up and it's retesting it again.
Yeah, it's still a lower high for right now.
It's still a lower high.
we'll see what happens here. That's a weird candle pattern, eh? With the stick at the bottom and it's all red. And I don't do a lot of candle patterns too much. I think the only ones that I look for like dojis and shooting stars and whatever. All right, maybe this is not going to work out, but let's find out. The RSI hooked. Now we need the orange one to come back into the middle zone there. If it does, great. If it doesn't, then I will cut my losses here. And then maybe look for a better entry. Because there's always another way to get a better entry, right? Yes, you got to take a loss, but you know what? A better entry is going to make up for that loss anyway. This is not like you're taking a loss on 50 pips, right, guys? It's not like you have to make 50 pips to regain your make yourself whole again. It's really consolidating right there in that right under that zone.
Yep. We'll wait and see.
Yeah.
With this RSI up like this, and the other one came on up, didn't quite make it, and it's still making a little bit lower highs on this one. If you look at the RSIs, right, here's a high, here's a lower high, here's a lower high, here's another hook. It gives some support to the downside. Now this one is showing that this was a fairly strong retracement, but you have a 3-point spread, but you're still inside the wedge at the extreme.
Yeah, let's see what happens here.
We just have to be patient. You have to give it room to breathe, and if it breathes too hard, you just get out of the trade and look and see if it breaks the top. It might reverse positions, and if this thing breaks through with the strength to break through, then we may be looking at reversing our positions to head on up to this area up here where the supply zone is, and this target.
Very true.
That would still be another 10 pips to the upside. If we get stopped out, we still have an opportunity to get 10 pips to the upside, and maybe even further.
So I'll show you guys
remember this is the top of the major channel that this thing's been trading in. So if it breaks up, I'd be looking at the possibility to retest this channel up here.
So I just shared something in the chat where I put my other trend line, just so you know why I'm saying if it breaks above that structure here, that it could probably going up for quite a bit more.
And remember, we have a news announcement at 10 o'clock. This is right now it's at 8:30, so this could be a pre-announcement move coming in.
Yeah, we're getting into that. We're so close to breaking that top that that's also where it reverses sometimes, right? If we close out the trade now, it could reverse right on us.
Right now, we still have a lower high.
Yeah, and now it's up. That's
I still want to see if we get it close in this zone up in here. I still want to see it break the
break that high there.
Break the high.
Okay, well, let's see.
Again, this could be another trap up in here.
Could be. Now it's bouncing off one of the tines on the pitchfork. So that's the top of that pitchfork, and that's also the top of another wedge that I drew. So That's probably, I'm probably gonna let it go maybe another 2 pips max, and then we'll cut it there. Maybe I'll take that position against it.
There, I just got stopped out on this one.
Yeah, that one hurt. Yeah, let's we're up. Just a sec here.
Yeah, right now I'm looking for this thing to go on up to retest that. So we got stopped out on that one, just breaking the top of the wedge.
Yeah, that was
It's a strong move. We got
that
strong
was a rough
strength.
one. We got the wrong
So
side.
so we got stopped out on this one, but now we broke the top of the wedge. Now we're looking at a higher target.
Yep. Didn't work out as planned. That's why you don't trade money you can't afford to lose, right?
Yep.
Like that was an extra meal, nice fancy meal,
So
but
right
it is
now,
what it is.
right now I want to see it close. I like to see it close inside the zone and maybe get a little wick on the top. I mean, I want to see it break that D level, and then the
Yeah.
next area is going to be for the B, where the B is. That'd be the next target.
Let's see.
We'll see what happens. We didn't get the close inside this area, what we were looking at.
That's a big wick. I should have been watching it on the 5. I wouldn't have, it didn't close outside.
Take this out. Still looking at getting the close up here. Let's see what our 1 minute chart looks like. Right now, we look at all 3 charts. Dollar strength, dollar strength, dollar strength. We got the close inside on the 1 minute. We got the close inside the zone. And I'm going to look to do a buy stop, take profit, stop loss, get my stop above around this area, and enter. If it comes up back up here, it'll get me in the trade, and then my target's going to be up in here.
Yeah, just looking for one more little confirmation, and I'll jump in this one long.
Right now, I can keep my stop below this moving average down here. That would give me that's the 9 pip stop on that. If this thing breaks through, this should have a nice, as this thing's widening out, we should have a nice little trend going on up and into my target.
Oh yeah, all right, this is good. So you're in here long as well, right, Al?
I am.
Yeah.
Remember, news isn't until 10 o'clock, so we still have lots of time here for this thing to develop.
Yeah.
I said oftentimes you'll get the bigger moves right before the announcement, whatever the announcement's going to be. So here he is. We were looking at to go down to retest the bottom of here. We got stopped. We took an early entry. It reversed on us, came back, broke through the top of the wedge now, and now we reverse positions to go long.
Yeah.
If we get, and if this one takes us out, then we'll just I'll be done trading for the day on this pair.
Yeah, I'll move on to another pair.
Because it's not reacting the way we're in the charts are telling us to, which traditionally, what we do is we try to relive the same system over and over again. And if it doesn't, as the system we have works, and if it doesn't work, that means something's out of whack with the market that doesn't allow it to. And then you just have to just put it on the sidelines and wait for the next day for it to get back in the sync again.
What are we saying now? We're saying 65%?
65% wins 70. And 35. Yep.
Right. So it is highly accurate, especially with these tight stop losses. The key here is to use like a stop loss. You know, you need to, you want to make the money, you got to be able to take the loss when it comes. If you're not ready to take the loss, then you need to go to demo or make your adjust your position size, because that's the name of the game, right? You're not always going to win. You need to know when to pull the eject button before it crashes and burns.
And here, basically we have a rally, a base, and now another rally. So right now, if it comes back, it could come up and retest this little area right in here. It could find some more buyers right in this area. So I'm going to use this as a little zone to be noting, and I'm going to stay in the trade. If it comes back into this area, I want to stay in the trade unless it breaks the bottom of this and closes, which is pretty much right where my moving average is.
Yeah, we got some, all the hull moving averages are in your favor. You got, from my perspective, what we did with that sell at the top there, that was supposed to be a pretty good entry, you know? It just didn't do what it expected. So when it doesn't do what it expects, that means that we just take the other side of the position. And that generally works. I don't have percentages on how often, if it doesn't work, if price structure and everything changes and things don't work out. I don't have the exact numbers, but all I know is if it doesn't do what I expected, I take the other side of the position. So this is good. This is looking not too bad, my friends.
And like we said, we have our target set for it. We'll see if we can get our 7 pips. So let's put our 7 take profit. I got a take profit at 12 on this one. Let me find out. Let's see, we have the entry. Here, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to put the.
What are we going to do, Al?
Look for our entry. It's going to be right here. And we're going to look for 7 pips. This is our default. So here's our target right here's our 7 pip target is right about where we're coming up on right in there.
Is Ruben here this morning?
I haven't seen him this morning.
Okay, because I need some music. Come to find out, he's quite the accomplished pianist.
So right in here, we're just about hitting our 7 pip target. I'm going to keep mine up for a little bit longer yet.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm staying in this trade for a little bit longer. And I'll let you.
Our fib lines. If we just crossed our green fib line, here's our red fib line, and this is right about in the middle between the two. I would expect it to come up to within the middle of here and then maybe take some profits. This is a strong move up.
At least 35.15, at least, if not higher. So let's see.
I'm not going to let it go too far against me up here. If I start getting this thing starting rejecting here, I'm going to be getting out of this and rethink the situation.
Yeah, that would be fair. That would be fair. So we had a big move up. Either we have a consolidation up here and it reverses, or we have a consolidation and it continues.
If you have more than one position, you may want to take one off right now.
Yes, that would be a good time.
Yeah, now would be a good time to take one off and then let one run.
Yeah, you could take half your position off and let the other one run. That's actually a very good money management system. Another way to keep you in trade a little bit longer. If you take half, that means you're still making the same amount of profit for every 2 pips you make. So 1 pip, 2 pips equals 1 pip. So not too bad.
This will help get back some of your loss that you had on the stop out if you're in that trade.
Exactly.
As it comes back to retest the zone. So we had our target here, so I'm going to take that, move that away, get it out of the way.
Yeah.
And so this is still what was once, here was our entry zone. So if it came back up, if it comes back into the zone, I can take another position.
Yeah.
And I think one reason why I took some profit right here is if you look and see where let me put this right on top of the red fib line right there.
The red fib line.
Here's a red fib line. Here's the blue fib line. So here's our this is on my 1 minute chart. This is our 7 pip area right in here. And you see it came up right about to the halfway part, came back and rejected, coming back down, retesting the green line. And we'll just wait and see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if it can hold where it's at and come back up a little bit more. I think it's going to keep on coming up a little bit more.
I think we'll probably retest this, come on up and retest this area.
Hey, that would be a great trade. If it does that, that makes up for my sloppy exit. I stayed in there a little too long. I stayed in there for my full 10 pips, so I ate that. So now I'll let you know when I potentially decide to exit.
So right here is the middle of this zone right here. We're about halfway through. This is 3 pips, about another 3 pips to go up to the red line. If it breaks the red, it'll probably go halfway up to the blue and then reject, which is right about where this box is up top here.
Just a couple more, maybe 1 or 2 more candles. What's
Here's the blue zone, right? You see, here's the blue zone up here. Here's the red zone down here. Slide this over.
Let's check it out.
Let's see if it can come up. This is like, so this is the, if we can bring this down a third, let's see, we bring it down to, and this, I'm gonna reverse this setting.
I kind of want to make this break even, right? So here's the challenge.
We're actually getting into a supply zone right here, reference to the Fibonacci marks.
Okay.
And then this would be the supply zone. This would be the overshoot area.
You might get a little bit of heat here, so I'm going to actually exit now and maybe look for another entry. So I just exited my trade, so I made half of my loss.
We don't like losses, but we try to keep them as small as possible.
Right. The sooner you can get out of your losers, the sooner you can move on.
And then what you do is you clear your head for the next, clear your head to reset what you're looking at.
Of course.
Because our mind, when we took the short over here, where our mind was thinking it was going to go along, but you still have to be aware that, okay, if it breaks a certain point, and I was first looking at this little red candle right here. That was my first point. And you can see where it came up, and this is where it based, right in here. Then we got the break, and so this is where we got out. But once I got this close above here, I knew something wasn't quite right. So I took my hit here. When it pulled back, I could have gotten back in if it broke through here to retry it again. But once I got the close into the zone, that's when I decided to reverse position, because I told myself before I even started that if it comes above here and closes inside this area, I was going to be taken along.
Matt,
Yes,
Yeah.
Christine.
you can get music from Michael, and you can also get music from Dan. They're also
Nice.
pianists.
Nice. Good stuff.
And we had another alert, a descending wedge on the NZD USD.
All right.
Descending. That was basically okay. That's at
8:45.
8:45. All right, let's take a look at that one while we can. Someone keep an
Yeah.
eye on this
I
one.
will. I will.
This one,
I'm in
and
this
I'll
one.
NCD USD. Let me clear the chart on this.
Yeah.
And we're going to clear our moving average. You can see right now I'm looking at the moving averages. I see this thing's trending on down, and it was a descending wedge, so that makes sense. And we're going to put this on at 8:45.
You exit that move there, Al, on US CAD?
Yeah. I'm out
Okay,
of
good.
everything.
Good.
And so I'm going to make my 8:45. Here's the alert. Make it yellow. So we keep things consistent. Look at my 15-minute chart. Take a look and see. You can see it's trending on down. It's basically, it's in a channel. Here's the low, here's the high, here's a channel coming down, and you can see there's a channel coming down. You can see there's some hits right along in here. So first thing I'm just going to do, I'm just going to take a look at this and say, okay, I like this channel. Oh, wrong one here. There we go. So I'm going to take it from here to here. I'm going to check out this one. This looks a little bit better. I got a hit, a hit, a hit. I like this channel a little bit better. So I'm just going to hold it right there because I have these list hits. I'm going to take this, I'm going to clone it and see what the bottom of the channel is going to look like. And I'll put it right down and see where I can get the most hits on the bottom channel. And I'm just going to eyeball it. So this is really where this thing's trading. If it breaks the top, it's going to come up and take a look at this 62. If it breaks the bottom, it's going to come over, and if it breaks the bottom, then you can take the bottom trend line as your area to try and keep it out of, if it stays out of the channel, this would be the next trend line. So, but now we have a descending alert. So we're going to be starting up high. We're going to find a pivot high, a pivot low, a lower high, and a higher low. So this is the area I'm going to be looking at before the alert. So I'm going to take my tool here. Here's the high. It was descending. I'll start my A up there. I'm going to take my lower high, or there's my wedge. Take this. Here's a lower high. Here's another lower high, and I'm going to come down and see if I can either flatten this out or. And so here's the low on here, and I'm going to bring this down. So actually, it's making lower highs. There's another little mini trend right going through here. Here's an anchor. Here's a hit. Here's where the alert was, and now we have a blue candle. Come over here to our 1 minute chart, and we're going to tweak this thing up as close as we can. I'm going to tighten this one up to this point. I'm going to tighten this one up to the lowest candle before the wedge, before the alert. I'm going to make this whole wedge orange, because that's my 15-minute chart, how I drew the wedge initially. And see if I can tuck this in a little bit. So here's an anchor, here's a hit. This is pretty much a flat line across. This is an area that seems to be holding, and this area got broken. And let's see. And that's what we're going to do with that. Now we're going to take a look and see if what we can find. Now, one thing I'm looking at right here is that if we have a hit here, and you can see how there's an anchor from this point all the way across. You have a hit, a hit, a hit, a hit, which is once supply is now, which is once demand is now supply. So you can see it came up, and now it's still respecting this area. We had a nice little drop. It based a little bit, strong drop again, came back up and retested this. This is an area of interest right in here. I'm going to take it from, draw a little box around this little area. And this would be a retest area. If it breaks through the bottom again, let's see what's our strength looking like on the other. So dollar is strong by 6. A lot of strength to the dollar on this pair. Dollar is second pair. We're looking to go short. We don't want to go long with this. If we get a break below the D and close below the D, we can take this thing short. And we wait. I'll come to my 1 minute chart and see if we, so I want to see a close, and actually below the, this trend line is going to be, this would be our target right here. This purple line is going to be our target. Because there's nothing really, because this one's already been tested at this point. And we basically have this is our channel. It's traded inside the channel. If we break this, we'll be looking for it to bounce off of this area. Do I have enough room for a trade? I will say from there to there, that's 7 pips. Barely got enough room if you can get an early enough entry. Came up, tested the 62. Now we have a low, we have a higher low. So there's still no trade yet. And right now it's trading inside of this zone right here between this purple line and the orange line. Now maybe I'll tweak this purple one a little bit more. Let me get to a higher time frame chart. Let's go to a 5 minute chart and take a look at it, see if I can tweak that a little bit.
So does anyone have any questions about what's going on or what happened this morning? Is everything clear? Hopefully no one took too significant of a loss there on that trade.
I like this trend line from this point. Here's a little hit, and here's the anchor right on the, put it on the A, so validate that. So right now we have 2 valid parallel lines trading inside those parallel lines. And we're just going to see if we can't get a decent entry to. And if it breaks this, it's going to probably go significantly lower because this has been the downward channel, and then we can just track it on down. And here's the alert. Here's the pullback. We got a drop, a little bit of a basing here. If it breaks, we're probably looking at another trade about this, at least the size of this candle right here. This would be a stick. Move this over. I'm trying to grab it. I can't. That's what I'm looking for right there.
Beach Panda commented on broke even on the USD CAD.
Oh, good.
Down on the loss, then up and broke even. Well, maybe a few pips more in the green. And Kirk said, I passed. USD CAD has not been good to me.
Yeah.
Hey, good for you, Kirk.
Yeah.
That's what I like about this, eh? And so just because someone takes a trade doesn't mean you should be out. Everyone should be taking that trade. So
And if
Yeah.
you're not, and the things, if you're not sure, take it in demo. Take it in demo and see how. So it helps to reprogram your brain to what works, what doesn't work.
Absolutely.
I
So
take it. I take almost every alert. I take either in demo or I take it live, or I take it in both, because I want to be able to see. Because the more I take, the more I can program my mind to know what works and what doesn't work. But use the same methodology that you're using and be consistent with it. It helps you be consistent with your methodology.
I tried to click on your screen, Al. Um,
Al,
NZD/USD.
what's that blue line that you have? I'm sorry, I missed
This
it.
is my stick. This was
Oh,
the
your stick. Okay,
that was my
sorry.
stick, and I'm
Uh,
just looking at it was a range of this, pretty much this range right in here,
okay.
and I'm taking it. That's where the high was, and I'm taking it. So if it breaks here, I'm looking at it to go down to this area.
Remember yesterday I took a buy on NZD/USD. I ended up it was a real small position. I was just experimenting with something. Anyway, it was actually the top of the move, and I took a buy. And so I was like 20 pips down on a tiny position by the time I ended up looking again. So now that means I figured out where the top was. I just took the wrong side of it. So we're working. This will be fun on this trade. I am not going long on this currency pair.
Too much strength to the dollar.
Way too much.
Yeah.
Oh, but why, Matt?
Well, it's just because of the overall direction of the currency pair. Like it's been going down. Let's just say the overall move has been on the downside since the 19th of September. So from the 19th of September, it's been down. It's been going down, 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 down. In the last couple of years that I've been trading, the worst thing you can try to do is catch the bottom of a move.
Or the top of the move.
Or try to catch the top of the move and end up doing what I did yesterday and even this morning. So the only thing that there might be a saving grace here is that there is the lowest point it's been in the last, well, since August 20th is actually at the 64.86. So whatever's going to happen, it's going to happen pretty soon. Now, it might go right through that line. Everyone says, oh, strength and resistance, and we'll mark some lines, and well, that's only potential, right? It's potential support and resistance. Because sometimes it just slices right through there. Doesn't even know the line's there. I'm looking for a really nice pullback up for a nice position.
You see, this is a nice strong move down. Came back.
Got a nice little W there, Al.
This is where we had the alert, and it pulled up. So right now we actually have a little secondary wedge right in this area right in here, but it's actually going sideways.
Yeah, so that's not.
So this was a drop. It dropped. It based a little bit, dropped, based a little bit, dropped, came back and this is a retest. You can see where this came up and retested this zone right in here. I drew this from this little consolidation zone. We had a nice strong candle down, came back up, retested it. It's retesting it the second time. We had came up hook. We have a little bit lower. Here's a hook at the high. That pretty much from this point came up, lower high, came up, lower hook with a lower high.
Yeah.
So it's having a little bit of
like
problems
that
getting through that area. That's the third time, but still getting a little bit lower and lower. If we get this thing crossing over, And we still have the strength. This is New Zealand. Right now, this is showing New Zealand strength on the 1 minute, but that's a pullback. You still have strong strength on the dollar after the pullback.
And all Hall moving averages, except that pullback one, is indicating that it's going to continue short for a little bit. So now the Hall moving average will flip on average like at the 71 or 77% of the origination of the move, and I'll explain that a little bit later on in maybe the more advanced part of it. We'll talk about why we like to use the whole moving average on time frame and how it kind of adds another level of I don't know consistency, or maybe because when it flips, right? When it flips, it's done. I'll show you how a person can use it. What are we talking about here? Probably 9:20 or so.
It's right now. We just had the 9 o'clock bar close.
Okay.
And so we're seeing it's still. I mean, still again, we have announcement at 10 o'clock. Overall, we're still looking at dollar strength, which is mean we're looking to go short. Still short. Still coming up, retesting this retest zone. We still have our 62 moving average all the way up here at the top of the wedge. We have the 62 on the 15-minute chart outside of it. So if it comes outside, I'd be looking at this to be a trap up in this area. Generally speaking, if it crosses over, it usually bounces off these 62s. Especially when they're pointing down.
I'm just going to step away for a minute, and I will be right back.
There's a 562. That's right in this area, right in here. All of our moving averages are still in the correct direction. We have the 62, the 13, the 5, 62, 13, and 5. Still, this one's starting to hook back down, which is a good thing to go short. And here's our 62 is the white one on the 1 minute. That one held, and right now we're starting to get consolidated, starting to get another breakdown below. The retest area seemed to hold. Gonna move this over here. You can see this is sloping on down, so it's got a little bit further to go before you're gonna get to close. And from where the D is here, you still had a little bit of a lower low from the D, so it didn't close below it. Still want to see it close below the this orange trend line. And we wait. Still looking at dollar strength. strong over here, and it's strong on the CAD. If you look at the CAD, it's a 2 on the 4 on the CAD, US CAD trade. And right now we're just waiting patiently. Actually, now may not be a bad time to take a little bit of a break before the market opens at 9:30. Okay, things are kind of quiet right now. Why don't we go ahead and take a break, and we'll come back in about another 10 minutes, and we'll be waiting for the market to open. So let's go to a break.
Take care, everyone.
Take care, Matt.
All right, bye.